kind of near and dear to my heart, so it involves the Holland Marsh, so you're going to have to straighten out a little for this one, guys. Edible horticulture is the main business in the Holland Marsh. It is a business that relies on the global market to sell its product. We are inundated with red tape from federal, provincial, county, municipal, and conservation regulations. For example, this is the question that comes up. Half of Simcoe runs the marsh. Half of York runs the marsh. First question on that one, would you see an annexation, yes or no? Second, what is your government going to do to help streamline the process to allow farmers to be more competitive in the market and be sustainable? So, don't you?
Yeah, so by reducing the regulations and all the red tape put in place by the current government, this will definitely increase productivity and allow farmers to do their work instead of worrying about bureaucratic measures they have to meet, let's say.
Thank you. David, did you want a shot?
Our party's going to do nothing, but I will. We have to standardize this stuff. I mean, this is just common sense. One of the things that we looked at were the 390,000 regulations that cover. I mean, that covers a lot of businesses, but there are many of them that need to be eliminated. Red tape that needs to be eliminated. It's insane for a farmer to have half a field that's in York and half a field that's in somewhere else, and he's got to treat his petunias different than he treats his marigolds. You know, and this is just common sense. We just got to put this stuff together, sit down and find out which ones work and which ones don't. And that'll do. Thank you.
On the first part of the question, but you're talking annexation. One, I think that's going to call for a referendum by the people who are affected to determine to which jurisdiction they would want to belong, or if any other resolution is required. On terms of supporting the agricultural industry here in the marsh, first thing we have to look at is the risk management program, which is put in place to protect farmers from fluctuations in local and global markets. Liberals have put an unreasonable cap upon that program. We want to raise the cap on the risk management program in order to have a Made in Ontario resolution to the issues created by the variations and fluctuations. We want to further defend the supply management program for Ontario farmers. So Ontario farmers are competitive as a group, as well as protecting Ontario's production insurance program. The insurance program that guarantees that catastrophic losses would not be suffered by the individual farmer, and allow that coverage to be extended to all crops.
Thank you.
First of all, I want to acknowledge the farmers in the marsh here. It's such an important part of York Simcoe, and part of York Simcoe that I'm so proud of. I live next to a farmer's field. I have cows across the street from me. My children's grandparents are farmers. I know how important farming is. It is a huge economic engine of Ontario, and we need to look after our farmers. That's why with NAFTA, the Premier is looking for increasing markets for oil, grains, and seeds, as well as edible horticulture. Ontario has a reputation for safe, quality produce, and we need to make sure that that's maintained. I think it's true there's too many regulations, and having two different municipalities involved, two different regions involved adds to that, and we need to find a way to streamline that, and that would be something that should definitely be up for discussion if that's what the people in the marsh would like. I think our government has helped a lot with risk management. Over $230 million has been spent to help with that, with the fluctuations in climate. It's only going to get worse, and that's why it is so important that we invest in climate change as well. Thank you.
Well, I think it would be impossible to overstate the importance of agriculture in the Holland Marsh to the local economy, but also to the provincial, the national, and even the global economy. 13% of the world's vegetables are supplied from the Holland Marsh, and they do incredible work under increasingly difficult conditions. that are created, have been created and more by this Liberal government. The fact that annexation is something that has come up just suggests, it shows as an example of some of the issues that farmers have to deal with. And so I would certainly want to sit down, work with municipalities, work with the farmers to understand what the issues are that they're trying to resolve. We need to reduce red tape. We need to ease the burden that they are dealing with in terms of regulations. But farmers are also struggling from other issues: hydro costs, lack of access to broadband. There's so much that we need to do, but what the province of Ontario needs to do is prioritize our farmers and make sure we're working with them and supporting them and giving them the help that they need.
Oh, I can see we've got water being delivered from the marsh. That's actually the marsh water itself. After all the federal regulations and hoops I had to jump through for that, there bloody well better be. I'm sorry, there's not a federal candidate in here, is there? No bureaucrats? Rebuttal time. Anybody? We're all good for farmers? We're happy? Cool. We're going to move on to an environment question now. What will your party do about the environment and the conditions such as greenbelt protection, green energy, electric cars? What will your party do for the environment? And it's David up first.
Thank you. I think one of the really significant issues that we have with the Greenbelt in particular is and why it's a problem is because as we continue to build on the Greenbelt that surrounds Lake Simcoe, we continue to put the opportunity for phosphorus going into the lake and increasing the phosphorus levels. Now, unlike a golf course, which has some restrictions as to what they put on to fertilize the grass, some of those same restrictions still go for other areas. We have to stop the urban development. And one of the biggest issues up in just north of Keswick is the Maple Lake Estates. I think we have to protect those provincially significant wetlands and ensure that the urban development doesn't start cutting down trees and start plowing areas that are going to create a situation of phosphorus.
You're up, Dave.
This is one of the principal reasons I was encouraged and I decided to run in this election. My commitment, my love of this lake leads me to want to protect it. David's absolutely correct. Those kind of situations, the proposal to pave over a provincially significant wetland to give away another lot for 1,000 plus new units is inappropriate application of development. Whether we get our drinking water from groundwater sources or surface water sources on the lake, and Bradford gets both, we need that water to be filtered properly through a wetland complex. That is the natural way to remove phosphorus and nitrogen pollutants. Preservation of something like the Maple Leaf Estates, the North Columbia, and the integrity, the continuity of the North Columbia Forest is essential. I will commit myself to protect greenbelt lands in this area and expand it. That is my mission.
Thanks. Those who know me know I'm a strong environmental advocate. I've sat on my town's environmental committee since I came up here a quarter century ago, and I have started at the school board 15 years ago. I got the environment committee going there that has now led to hundreds and hundreds of eco-schools within our board. So I am a strong protector of the environment, and I've stood up to my own party when it came to putting a stop order on the North Columbia Forest that they've been talking about. And I thank these people over here for the excellent work that they've done on that. But when it comes to something that you know in your heart is wrong, you have to be ready to stand up to your own government. And that's where experience comes from, that you know what matters, you know who you are, and you don't roll over to your own leader. When we had Ford say about paving over the Greenbelt, I didn't hear a squeak from our candidate here. And I think that's so important in this community, in York Simcoe, that we protect our environment. It's so important to me. I look out over Georgina and East Gwillimbury, and I can see the lights of Bradford right from my desk. And I think that it's important that we protect all that land. Thank you.
Well, I'm proud to be part of a party that has a long history of environmental activism. It was a PC government that set up the Ministry of Environment in the first place, and then enacted the Oak Ridges Moraine Act, and laid the foundation for the development of, or the protection of the green belt. And our PC party has committed to maintaining and preserving the green belt. We've been very clear on that, and that is what we will do. Unlike the Liberal government, which has carved up the green belt 17 times in the last year. And so I am committed to this. Unfortunately, while Laura Lee is passionate about it, she's not been successful in persuading the Liberal government in listening to her. And I can tell you that I will be a forceful advocate for the environment at Queen's Park, especially on behalf of all the issues that matter to the municipalities in York Simcoe.
Everybody knows that wetlands are very important for nature. They provide shelter for different animals. They provide us with a lot of stuff. Now the question is, why do we have so much pressure put on this wetland? Can we look at something else? Why do we have to expand that way? Shall we maybe amend zoning laws to allow for a higher population density, so we'll ease the pressure on Greenbelt? I would advocate for this a lot.
Thank you. Oh, you're ready to jump back in again, David. That's wonderful.
So why is it, folks, that Laura Lee and Carolyn haven't bothered to contribute to the North Gwillimbury Forest Alliance GoFundMe in order to assist in their legal challenge against the DG Group and the preservation of the PSW at Maple Lakes, and that the only contributors to that standing on this platform are David and I. Thank you.
Dave, you're first.
Yeah, you're right. The other thing, there's so many environmental issues around us. We have the issue of the brownfields around the lake. One of the most notable ones is the Thames smelter, which also is contributing to the contamination of the lake as the leachate is progressing from the old decommissioned site into the headwaters of the Masconnong River. As an insult to the public consultation process, the Liberal government has not only not acted on the repeated promises to clean up the site, they have secretly taken it off the list for rehabilitation. And we just learned about that. The commitment we were asking for the Minister Morrow to preserve the North Gwillimbury Forest, to put in a ministerial order to prevent development, he has refused to do. Even though that the initial approval for that project came through an order in council from the cabinet. I do not trust the Liberals' environmental record.
First of all, to answer the question about why I haven't donated to that, I have donated my time. I'm a single mom. I work as a trustee. Trustee in the York region makes $25,000 a year, and that's for me and my daughter. So that's why I haven't donated. I didn't inherit money. I work as a public service, and I give my time rather than my money. Other people can give their money. I have time to give. As far as Caroline's comment about my government doesn't listen to me, I'm not the MPP yet. They don't listen to, they don't do whatever someone in the community wants. It's our MPP who represents us and goes to government and argues for the things we need. So that is not my job yet. That is Julie's job, and she's done a fine job representing us for the last 23 years. sorry if I'm wrong, but that's something that's so important, that we have a strong voice down there and that we understand how government works and that we make sure that the environment is protected. As far as what our government is doing, I think our record is very clear on the environment. Thank you.
Well, Julia Monroe did draft a letter to Minister Morrow asking him to get all parties back to the table because there had been a solution that had been proposed by the municipality and agreed to by many parties, and things have changed in the interim, and so Julia had asked Minister Morrow to get all the parties back to the table to discuss this so we can find a solution to protect this provincially significant wetland. And he never responded. And so that's the Liberal government's record on the environment on this issue. They're ignoring it, and as a result, the wetland is in danger.
Here, here.